Hi, it's Shelly again. I will try to be quicker this week. I said I would last week and I realized it was still like a 10-minute video. Um, okay, so the main thing I kind of want to share and let you all think about this week is um, creating content learning activities. So to really understand what I'm saying is kind of back to that instructional design thing, the idea that we have activities where we're delivering content. The big popular ones are students either read it or we tell it to them, and whether we tell it to them in a lecture in a live class or we lecture with a video, but there's some type of content delivery. Then there's content learning activities, and those in theory should be low, no more than medium stakes. You know, they're weighted less in the class, so they're low stakes, so students can learn how to do what it is in a safe environment and make mistakes and not get penalized for those mistakes. And then we have learning assessment activities, and those are the high stakes tests, papers, etc. And to me, what's actually very exciting about online teaching and learning is the ability to have very creative, low stakes content learning activities. And so basically, I'm hoping that you all will get the idea that the one thing you don't want to do in classes, because it makes it really boring for students, is just to have this wash, rinse, and repeat of readings, lecture, discussion board, readings, lecture, discussion board, draft a paper, peer review it, turn it in. Students will get bored. Honestly, you'll get bored too. And then, to be honest, discussion boards done really well are really difficult. Or maybe they're just really difficult for me. But I've seen a lot of bad ones over the years that weren't designed by me, so they're really difficult. I can say I shared a document with you from a faculty member I learned at Bonnie Tenson at a Cengage professional development thing. Guidelines for developing good critical thinking / discussion board questions. And I really liked that handout, so got it scanned and shared it for you. But other ways to think about creative, low stakes, content learning activities is to think in terms of multimedia learn as opposed to classic write to learn that we see in WAC-WID. So multimedia to learn ideas, assignments. And those are just creative. Really, the most important thing is to be able to articulate what's your learning objective for what you're trying to get them to learn, and then figure out a way to get them to play with something that'll allow them to do that. I can't possibly share everything I've done. I did share a pile. This pile here links to this folder. Nope, wrong one. This folder of a bunch of examples. Now, granted, some of these are grad, but at this point, all I just want to show is there's so many things you can do. And this is when just the plethora of Web 2.0 activities or 2.0 applications exist. So, for example, I'm a big fan of Diigo. It's a social bookmarking application. But Diigo allows us to do some really cool stuff. One, it has groups. We call them classes, so you can have students bookmarking. It allows you to annotate, but it even allows, let's see if it's going to behave and show you what I want to show. Get annotated link. There we go. Hopefully it'll do it. It'll even allow you to leave annotations. No, it didn't do it. That would have made my life too easy. The functionality isn't quite as smooth as it used to be, which makes me sad. Let's see if we can just go. Oh, that's why. There we go. I bet you the annotations are in here somewhere. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, so I just demoed. But let's go to the groups. That's one of the reasons I haven't used the annotations tool that much. It's never been very stable. But groups are very cool. So like right now I have a class that they're all contributing bookmarks with, quick notes about what, how, why they like that bookmark. Diigo also allows things like, hold on, let's get back to my library. It allows these things called lists. We call them annotated bibliographies. Let's see, do I have an example of one? No. Realize I thought of this on the fly. Well, you can annotate these as well and put notes. And so I've had students do annotated bibliographies in here. The other thing I want to say is that sometimes we know about Web 2.0 applications, and it takes a while to really think about what, how, why you might use it. So for example, I've known about Twine. It's kind of a hypertext, nonlinear, choose your own adventure style application. It makes designing those things very easy. And I've known about it, but I haven't thought about it. But just recently at 4Cs this last March, I had the aha moment that I want to use Twine for annotated bibliographies, because in the bird's eye view, let's go look at an example of it, each node would represent a source, but then multiple sources could be connected to one another. So it would be something that would help visualization for students to see connections between their sources. That took me a while. It took me a while to realize that, one, I want students, synthesis is hard, and annotated bibliographies, if the students just do the annotated bibliographies, their review of lit then just reads like, annotated bibliographies with transitions in between them. And so I wanted to try to figure out an activity that would help them synthesize, see connections between and across the resources. And I was thinking, ooh, an activity in Twine might help them do that. And so all that to say is that, designing and coming up with these creative content learning activities sometimes takes time. You just have to realize what it is you want to try to do, and then what application might help you and the students do it. I look forward to talking with you all. That's probably my favorite part about teaching and learning online, and I love coming up with those ideas. And so if you struggle and you're like, I really want to do X, please come talk to me, and we'll imagine crazy ways to do it. This week, in terms of application exploration, I want to talk about screenshots and screencasts. Screencasting, what I'm doing right now, screenshots being a static image of the page. These are really important for two major reasons. One, kind of like this, where you can do overviews of the course, or you can show students quickly how to do things. But two, more importantly, and I think it's really important that you show students how to take a screenshot on whatever device they're working on. Because a lot of times you'll get, my computer isn't, my application isn't, I can't figure out, and they can write hundreds of words, and because you can't see it, you don't know what they're struggling with. And so very quickly asking students to learn how to take screenshots so they can then send them to you helps tremendously. Now, this link here where I said this website, I love this website because, as you can see, it shows how to take screenshots on a bunch of different devices. Yay! Okay, screencasting. Jing used to be the big one. It's kind of collapsed now into Snagit by, I forget the name of the company that does Snagit and Camtasia. Camtasia, what I'm using right now, allows you to edit, even though I won't edit this. Screencast-O-Matic is the new kind of free one. It's a web-based one. You can also use Google Hangout in screen sharing mode. What a lot of people don't realize is there's an open source equivalent of Camtasia called Open Broadcast Software. So that's this page here. And so that would allow you to do your screencasting and then edit it in a way that Screencast-O-Matic or Jing or any of them won't let that happen. In terms of the online teaching and learning tip this week, I wanted to briefly talk about managing deadlines. Now, unlike the other weeks, I'm not explicitly connecting this to the Quality Matters rubric. However, I can say this. The Quality Matters rubric, at the end of the day, is about course design, because you can have a beautifully designed course and still have horrible delivery, especially if you don't keep up with commenting with students or responding to students, that kind of stuff. But this, Susan will probably chuckle when she listens to this. This tip comes from our days doing usability testing, that deadlines, you need to have them all in one place. If you have deadlines sprinkled over various locations in the course, students don't know where to look. Kind of, a schedule becomes the home base of your course. And so, one, having deadlines in one place. Two, one of my tips for a whole week or a whole semester, a 15, 16 week long semester, I suggest that you only do one deadline a week. You can choose not to, but a lot of times, especially with the students that are being targeted for the online gen ed program, they're probably going to be working, and to expect them to get in there 2 to 3 times a week, I'm not saying that's not smart. I'm not saying that that's not good learning, but I am saying reality check of having taught for over a decade and taught a lot of students who work full-time, asking them to be in there regularly, multiple times a week, is probably setting them up for failure. Or at least requiring it at very specific times, suggesting they need to do that, but when it works best for them, that's a whole other thing. So I usually have one deadline a week, double it for 8-week terms, triple it for 5 or 6-week terms. Similarly, I have found that any assignment that requires students to respond to one another, you cannot expect them to both post the material that's going to be responded to and do the response in the same deadline, because most people will wait until the very last minute, and therefore the folks who work ahead and want to do the reviews, there will not be material for them to review or reply to. So you have to stagger that. And I know you might be tempted to do something like, well, there's only, 1 day a week deadlines, except peer reviews. You have to turn your drafts in on Wednesday. Again, folks, that won't work. Whatever your deadlines are, they need to be set up on a schedule that repeats itself. So students get in a habit. They know, for example, I like Saturday deadlines. And they'll know they have until every Saturday. If you throw off little weird things in there, that'll throw people off. I also suggest that you make your deadline 11:59 p.m. on whatever day of the week you plan to have your deadline. That way you avoid any, is it 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Is it 8 p.m.? No, it's just 11:59 p.m. You can specify that it's Arizona time. I always say Arizona time because they don't change. But realistically, you're probably not going to be looking at things at 2 a.m. on the day after. So it just 8:59 or 11:59. It means that it'll be due that day, and then it means you can get up the next morning and expect work to be there. I think that's my major stuff about scheduling and putting in deadlines. The last thing I just want to say, I did update the open content video page. I actually updated all of the Finding OERs page, so alphabetic text, audio, RLOs, and other multimedia stuff there that you can look at. The other multimedia page, I will quickly show this on the left. These applications can sometimes be some of the applications that you want to use to do creative learning content. So, or at least I like to think so. Okay, that's my video for the week. I look forward to sending one more, but next week I'll be sending it from Arizona, and I'll be seeing you on Tuesday. So thanks for hanging in there.